we're not allowed anymore to show the #1 draft pick in the WNBA draft as opposed to Angel Reese, a woman who can't run. I mean, next time you watch Angel Reese play, yes, she can play. She's a good player, but she can't run. But we're not allowed to show the #1 pick in the draft, the most dynamic player, including everybody. Why? Well, because it's racist. Yes, it's racist according to the idiots. When will the madness end? I think it's on its way to ending. I do. I think that Netflix special last night showed that black folks can get on white folks on black folks, and everybody can laugh about it.
There has been a long-running rivalry between Reese and Clark going back to their days in college, but it's seemingly become very one-sided in the WNBA. Clark doesn't really ever mention Reese or the Chicago Sky. Meanwhile, Reese can't seem to stop using the Indiana Fever and WNBA sensation for attention. On the first episode of her podcast, Reese said,
So I think it's really just the fans, her fans, the Iowa fans, now the Indiana fans that are like, they ride for her. And I respect that respectfully, but sometimes it's very disrespectful.
when it comes to people who like Clark. Now, she felt bad. TikTok user @TheLunctionLawyer shared a video claiming fans of Clark never cared about basketball. They only care about racism. No, this isn't a joke. TikTok user claimed in a recent video.
Oh, I am all in white people's business this week. Like, first Taylor Swift, now Caitlin Clark. So Caitlin Clark, like the Taylor Swift post, you know, the Taylor Swift post. And baby, all of a sudden, all of her alleged fans are withdrawing support. Like, they wanted her to be the face of racism so bad. Whole time, she just wanted to play basketball, get her sponsorships, and go home. Like, turns out she doesn't want to be the brand ambassador for hatred. And this really confirms that a lot of people were never Caitlin fans. You were just Angel Reese haters. Let me say it again. You were never a Caitlin fan. You were an Angel Reese hater. You didn't care about Caitlin Clark's skills. You like the fact that she was a white woman performing exceptionally well in a sport dominated by black women. So instead of appreciating Caitlin for being an incredible, talented player, it was all about being anti-Angel Reese. That's not weird to y'all? Y'all think that's weird? Anyway, I know Caitlin wanted to tell y'all in her comment section that it's not an airport. You don't need to announce your departure, but you know, she kept it cute as a sponsored, well-paid, talented WNBA.
Angel Reese seems to agree with the idea that fans of Caitlin Clark are racist. A gross attack on people who simply like enjoying watching Caitlin Clark play basketball. Was that Reese's response? Nope. Instead of ignoring the post, she showed full support for it and wrote in the comments, "You left no crumbs." That's slang for saying someone nailed it. This is nothing short of disgusting behavior. If Angel Reese wanted to set an example, she would have denounced the video. Instead, she hopped into the comments and showed overwhelming support for a post claiming Clark's fans just wanted her to be the face of racism so bad. It's an insanely racist video, and instead of speaking out against it, Reese is endorsing it. There's simply no excuse. This shows how fandom can be influenced by racial bias. Do you think Angel Reese should expect more from herself and ask her fans to do the same?
And so I've talked about this with some other people. I felt like the Olympic break helped the Indiana Fever more than any other team. And I felt like the Olympic break really hurt Chicago. Because I thought before the break, Indiana was playing well, Chicago was playing well, and granted, there have been injuries and things like that. But since the Olympic break, this Indiana Fever team, to me, is a completely different team.
When it comes to stirring the pot, Sheryl Swoopes is a name that quickly springs to mind. The WNBA icon has been a frequent source of debate with her comments, especially concerning rookie Caitlin Clark. From dismissing Clark as merely a passer to ignoring her impact on the Indiana Fever's success, Swoopes has been a vocal critic of the 2024 draft's top pick. Interestingly, she has shown a more positive side toward Clark's rival, Angel Reese, often praising her, yet it seems even Reese isn't immune to Swoopes' critical eye now. The Houston Comets star appeared on the latest episode of the Gills Arena podcast, where Caitlin Clark's performance came to be a segment of the discussion. While making her case, Swoopes couldn't help but bring Angel Reese into the conversation. The 4X champion accepts that the Sky rookie has been impressive with her game, but not dominant like she used to be in college. Same went for Clark. Swoopes said,
And everybody wants to compare Caitlin to Angel, which to me I hate because they're two totally different players. Angel Reese was drafted number 7 to Chicago. Not a lot of expectations. People were like,
Slipped in the draft.
She slipped in the draft. She couldn't score in college, all of that. There was no way I thought Angel was going to come into the league and be dominant.
Drafted as the 7th pick, the Sky forward quickly made waves in the league, setting a new single-season rebound record and becoming a strong contender for Rookie of the Year, going head-to-head with the Fever's number 22. She was also making a strong impact with averages of 13.6 points and 1.9 assists per game. However, Swoops highlighted,
and be dominant, which she wasn't. But Angel's game, her offensive game, everybody knows this, has never been, it wasn't even that great in college, right? So yes, she has to work on that. There are things Caitlin has to work on.
the rookie did struggle with her shooting and took in a few criticisms as well. Sue Bird believes she has the potential to improve on that as well, so Swoops makes it clear that Reese has her strong points, calling her one of the best rebounders, but she has room for improvement too. Something she suggests in her view of Caitlin Clark as well. In a recent episode of Gil Arena's podcast, the spotlight was firmly on Caitlin Clark's rookie season. As the discussion delved into the Indiana Fever star's impressive stats and initial challenges, Cheryl Swoops shared her trademark take on the rookie. While acknowledging Clark's solid performance, Swoops noted that she's doing well but has yet to truly dominate the league. Swoops said,
15, 16 boards a game easy,
Okay.
right? So I look at
13.1 rebounds.
So I'm looking at Caitlin.
She also elaborated on her stance, recalling her earlier comments where she predicted neither Caitlin Clark nor fellow rookie Angel Reese would make an immediate impact in the WNBA.
Right? And so, because I know people are like, oh my God, you said she wouldn't be good. But I didn't say she wouldn't be good. What I said was I didn't think Caitlin or Angel would come into the league and dominate immediately, which I don't think either of them did.
And
but
you weren't the only
say,
one who said that, too. I think a lot of people felt that when you talk to a lot of players in the W, it's like, look, it's hard for rookies to make that transition from college to the W.
Gino said it too. You know,
No, but it is
said
hard.
it, and you know,
But
it's unfortunate.
But you said it. But you're saying it. Dominate, right? When we're talking about Caitlin, we're talking about when she said dominate. When we're saying dominate, we're thinking what she does in college.
Score the ball.
She's dominated college, right?
No, she dominated in college.
She dominated. So when she says you won't come here and dominate off the rip. Averaging 17 is not dominated compared to averaging 30-something for 4 straight years.
But that
right?
was also like the first half of the season.
However, despite Swoops' skepticism, Caitlin Clark has made waves in the WNBA record books, and not just as a rookie. She set the league record with 321 single-season assists and achieved a remarkable 19 assists in a single game. On top of that, she's the fastest player ever to hit 300 assists. Dominant or not, the two rookies definitely make their mark.
And when Angel Reese comes out and says, she ain't the only one everybody's watching, they're watching me too, they're watching others, a day later she gets ejected.
I'm still a human, like, all this has happened since I won the national championship, and I said the other day, I haven't had peace since then. And it sucks, but I still wouldn't change. I wouldn't change anything, and I would still sit here and say, like...
Won a national title. She didn't celebrate with her teammates. She mocked Caitlin Clark. So there's jealousy there. I certainly see that with her. I don't know about the league.
Angel Reese really lost her temper after the experts criticized her, and honestly, it was about time. She's been talking down Caitlin Clark's amazing game, calling her 35 points just a fluke. Really, Angel? 35 points and you think that's just a fluke? If luck was all it took, maybe you should look for yours because it's not showing up on the court. And remember when you couldn't handle Caitlin's great performance in front of you? So you ended up hitting her during the Indiana game.
Yeah, that's right.
Reese is being reviewed for a possible upgrade to a flagrant.
I think it'll be upgraded here.
That's right. That moment of jealousy really cost your team the entire game. At least Clark is out there breaking records, not causing trouble. And now the experts aren't staying quiet anymore. Now she looks classless. If you're going to say that Angel is being criticized because she's black while Caitlin gets attention for being white, let's talk about Stephen A. Smith for a moment. He's not shy about sharing his opinions, and guess what? He's black too. This guy doesn't hold back against anyone, and Angel is no exception. If you want to find the toughest critic of Angel, it's this man right here.
She happens to be a terrific talent who's white, and very, very marketable. The combination of the two things make her the golden goose for the WNBA. Go after her, compete with her, get the better of her at every turn.
Stephen A. Smith has been on a serious rampage, making video after video, practically putting Angel's performance on trial. And it's not just random opinions either. He's sharing stats, breaking down game footage, and showing why Caitlin Clark is in a whole different league. It's like Stephen has turned into a professor, explaining play-by-play why Clark is so much better. And Angel, she's definitely struggling with it. Instead of focusing on improving her game, she's busy trying to promote herself.
Jealousy, envy, resentment, it's all justifiable because there were people that were pounding the pavement and going through so much to help elevate the WNBA's profile long before Caitlin Clark ever came along, and yet were denied that level of recognition and that level of appreciation. The bottom line is, since Caitlin Clark is the one here now,
Angel even had a breakdown in a recent interview, crying about how experts like Stephen are trying to humiliate her.
I've been through so much. I've seen so much. I've been attacked so many times.
She claimed they're sexualizing her, and that's a serious allegation.
Death threats, I've been sexualized,
But instead of accepting that Caitlin Clark is getting attention because she's doing great on the court, Angel is avoiding the truth like it's a bad pass. Stephen A. isn't making personal attacks. He's just stating the facts. Caitlin is dominating, and Angel needs to face that. And it's not just Stephen. Angel is being called out from all sides in the sports world. But instead of taking it well and working on her game, she's acting like a victim, as if everyone is picking on her. Seriously? You're in the WNBA where competition is tough, and the moment someone points out your mistakes, you start complaining? It's crazy.
in the WNBA at this particular moment in time, it's $250,000 to a player. Caitlin Clark is already committed to $28 million in endorsement deals, at least. Look at the wave that she's created. Look at the profile that it has granted the WNBA. Look at the record ratings they've produced because of her arrival.
Just look at the recent game against the Dallas Wings. Caitlin Clark scored 35 points and led her team to a 1-point win with an amazing run in the fourth quarter. Every time she steps on the court, she's making history. Meanwhile, Angel, she's just complaining about how people are being mean. At this point, it's not even close. And Stephen A. Smith is the loudest one reminding us of that. He's breaking it down with clear facts. Clark is outperforming Reese in every important way.
But I do think that she's benefited. The WNBA has benefited from Caitlin Clark and the publicity.
But for some reason, Angel can't seem to accept this. She still believes she's the face of the WNBA, thinking anyone who disagrees is attacking her. Experts like Stephen A. aren't trying to bring her down. They're just offering a needed reality check. They're saying, you have skills, but you're not the best at the moment. Work on getting better instead of playing the victim. But Angel? She's too focused on defending herself from imaginary attacks to see the real competition on the court. And right now, she's not winning.
The ratings for the WNBA draft was 2.446 million, which was the largest in WNBA history. The doubleheader that opened the season generated over 1.5 million viewers, which was more than the WNBA had accumulated in more than 2 decades. You have all of this stuff going on. Understand, Caitlin Clark is different.
The more Caitlin shines, the more Angel complains. Each time Clark sets a new record, Angel dives into another dramatic rant. It's a regular occurrence. Caitlin is on top, and Angel is losing control. While Stephen A. Smith and others are trying to get her to look at the facts, Angel is too focused on her own story to listen. Instead of facing the truth, she feels like everyone is against her, but she's just not keeping up with Caitlin Clark's rapid success.
Go back to when she won a national title. She didn't celebrate with her teammates. She mocked Caitlin Clark. So there's jealousy there. I certainly see that with her. I don't know about the league.
Then there's Patrick Bet-David sharing some hard truths, and let's be honest, things aren't looking good for Angel. According to Patrick, Angel's jealousy is so clear that it shows in every post-game interview she does. You can really see it in her reactions whenever someone mentions Caitlin's name.
Can you kind of, on the flagrant, did you feel like that?
The basketball play.
Yeah. Did you feel like that was the appropriate call or?
It's a basketball play. I can't control the refs. They affected the game obviously a lot tonight. So.
But it did look at him, but like you were going for the play.
I mean, I'm always going for the ball, but y'all gonna play that clip 20 times before Monday?
And can you blame her? Reporters don't even ask about her performance anymore. It's all about Caitlin Clark now. That's got to hurt, especially for a rookie like Angel who wants to shine, but finds her spotlight taken by Clark, who's putting up amazing numbers like it's nothing. Whenever someone asks Angel about her own game, she makes it sound much more impressive than it really is.
You can't teach that. I'm gonna go out and do whatever it takes to win, and every single night, my teammates rely on my energy. So being able to continue the energy, even if we're down, even if we're up, that's what I do.
Patrick Bet-David hit the mark when he said Angel is going through a major recognition crisis. Sure, she's talented, but Caitlin Clark? She's breaking records and making headlines like it's nothing.
Everything that she gets, like, I understand, there's all these storylines here. I try to keep it to what I see on the floor.
Meanwhile, Reese's interviews have turned into a place for her to express how unfair it is to constantly be compared to Clark. Her frustration is clear, but honestly, it's starting to feel repetitive. We understand, Angel. You believe the media is obsessed with Caitlin. But is it truly unfair? Or is Clark just that impressive? Can we really blame the media for focusing on this? I mean, Clark's stats don't just speak, they shout. And this isn't just a one-time occurrence. Every time Clark plays, she's either breaking another record or showcasing her skills.
And then, her forearm came down and hit Caitlin Clark.
Let's be honest. The source of Angel's frustration is pretty obvious. It's not just that Caitlin is talented, it's that Caitlin is better. Angel sees all the attention going to Clark, and it's driving her crazy. Every press conference feels like a tribute to Caitlin, while Angel is left out, both on the court and in the spotlight. Patrick Bet-David really nailed it when he asked if it should have been called a flagrant foul.
Should it have been upgraded to a flagrant? I understand. Now, you can't factor in that Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese don't have a good relationship, and Angel Reese has mocked Caitlin Clark, has roughed up Caitlin Clark a couple of times, but that shouldn't factor in if it's a flagrant one or not.
But it's also true. What's wild is how obvious Angel's frustration has become. You can hear it in her voice whenever she talks about how unfair it is that Clark is getting all the praise. But here's the catch. It's not unfair at all. Clark is playing at a level that deserves attention, and the only person Angel should be upset with is herself for not keeping pace. Take that recent 11-point run by Clark in the fourth quarter. That wasn't just talent, it showed mental toughness, the kind that sets the great apart from the good. Angel hasn't had a moment like that this season, and until she does, she'll keep being asked about Clark. It's almost ironic. The more Angel complains about being compared to Caitlin, the more she highlights that Caitlin is the one raising the standard.
Not everybody gets it just because, hey, I put in 10 years in the WNBA or the PGA Tour or the NBA. It doesn't work that way. It's supply and demand. Do they want to buy your shoes or do they not? Do they want to play your basketball? Do they want to play with the Wilson? I mean, that's what this is about. It's not, I'm better than her. Maybe you are.
The media and experts are just responding to what's happening on the court. They're not targeting Angel for fun. They're simply stating the facts. If Clark is playing legendary basketball while Angel is just going through the motions, it makes sense that Clark gets all the attention. Patrick Bet-David made it clear. Angel's real problem is that she isn't ready to accept that Caitlin Clark is the future of the league. Until she does, she'll keep getting caught up in jealousy. And we can't overlook Gino Auriemma. When one of the greatest coaches in basketball speaks, people pay attention.
You have to factor that in, I think, or people have factored that in, I should say. That is she doing this? Would she have done this to somebody else? I don't know that. Do I think it's a basketball move? I do.
This guy didn't achieve greatness by sugarcoating anything. When he discussed the Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark debate, he was completely honest. His remarks? Harsh, but accurate. Gino said that Reese's attitude is part of the issue, and honestly, he's right. He stressed that the WNBA isn't a place for entitlement. If Reese thinks she's already reached the top, she has a surprise waiting for her.
I think she's handling great. I think she talks a lot of and she gets a lot of back. So she deserves everything she gets because she gives it as good as she gets it. She's just not built for the physicality of this league. Yeah, and she's not quick enough to get away from the physicality. So there's a lot of learning curve, like Diana said.
Gino, who has coached legends like Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, and Breanna Stewart, has seen it all. When he speaks, you know he backs it up with facts. In an interview on September 12, 2024, he called out Reese for acting like she's already successful. Gino pointed out that there's a big difference between being a star and being a superstar, and right now, Reese hasn't grasped that distinction.
And when she gets it, she has elite skills that are going to really help her.
Yeah,
but she needs to be on a better. She needs to be on a better team.
Auriemma's criticism hits harder than most because of his experience. He's coached superstars who didn't just have a few impressive games, they built legendary careers, and he knows what it takes to be great consistently. Right now, he sees Reese as someone too focused on believing she's already made it. In contrast, Caitlin Clark? Gino can't stop praising her dedication and work ethic. He pointed out that Clark didn't get where she is by waiting for attention. She worked for it, and Reese should take note. This is the same coach who shaped Breanna Stewart into one of the best players ever. Gino understands how to elevate talented players to stardom, and his remarks about Reese versus Clark, they're not just suggestions, they're facts.
She couldn't play. I must admit, I lost a little respect for Caitlin Clark. I thought she was it.
Cheryl Swoops was discussing the Indiana Fever on a podcast.
Okay.
And she was like, in the Fever, they've just been tremendous. And she started naming players. And she named like every player except Caitlin Clark. Okay. She wouldn't mention her name.
Yeah, true hater.
Caitlin Clark has been unstoppable after setting another record on September 14th. And it's incredible to see how some people are reacting. They're just ridiculous. Seriously, why are so many jealous players and commentators struggling with her success? Every time someone criticizes her, they seem more desperate. Why is it so difficult to admit that she's dominating the league, setting records, and making everyone else look like beginners?
Here you go, the Caitlin Clark, she is bringing all this revenue into the league, and then what's this? Petty jealousy, people smashing her, with these hard fouls, people on the bench. Angel Reese jumps up cheering, like, can you imagine? LeBron James jumped up. It is like so classless.
Caitlin Clark doesn't just rise above the criticism, she demolishes it. All these so-called critics are only showing one thing: they can't keep up. While she's out there making history, they're busy making excuses. It's honestly embarrassing for them. The more they talk, the more they reveal themselves as nothing but jealous, irrelevant background noise. Take Molly Karam from ESPN, for instance. She couldn't stand seeing Caitlin Clark get the spotlight she deserves. Instead, she had to jump in, insisting that other players should get the same praise and attention, regardless of their performance.
It was just she was receiving all the accolades, the praise for everything that was happening in the WNBA, and she hadn't even played a game yet. So people were just saying, respect who did it before, respect the other stars.
Like, really? You're actually upset that the most dominant player in the game is getting all the hype? Molly's out here throwing shade, claiming Clark hasn't even played a game yet, as if that changes how incredible Clark is on the court.
She couldn't play.
Molly, sweetheart, this isn't a charity. The spotlight goes to the best, and right now, that's Clark. She's breaking records and dominating the court, and yes, she's earned the praise. But here comes Molly, acting like Clark's success is an injustice to the rest of the league. Stephen A. Smith even had to call her out on it. But Molly? She just can't handle the truth. Honestly, Molly, maybe focus less on spreading the praise and more on accepting that Caitlin Clark is simply that good.
And Molly, I'm disappointed in you. Because we've been this first.
What happened?
The kind of heat that me and Shannon have had to take. Molly, what's up?
And of course, Skip Bayless had to say something.
I must admit, I lost a little respect for Caitlin Clark. I thought she was it.
Seriously? As if anyone asked for your suggestion in the first place. The world is out here celebrating Clark for her incredible skills, and Skip Bayless just has to slide in with his outdated, unsolicited hot takes. It's almost like he's trying to go against the grain just to stay relevant. Let's be real, Skip. You're just one of those few critics who can't handle Clark's success. She's breaking records and redefining the game while you're over there nitpicking, pretending your opinion matters. Sorry, but nobody's losing sleep over what you think of Clark. She's got a league full of fans and players who respect her, and you're just throwing shade from the sidelines.
Skip Bayless, that is not the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. So I don't mean to go against you or God himself. What Skip is either wrong about or has forgotten, honchos at ESPN were not happy.
Moving on to a legend, yet even legends aren't exempt from poor judgments. Cheryl Swoops made headlines by criticizing Clark's game, suggesting her style wouldn't survive in the WNBA.
Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Immediately? Absolutely not. Not gonna happen.
Not going to happen. Every time Swoops criticized Clark, she just went out and broke another record, making those comments look as outdated as dial-up internet. It's like Clark's whole goal has been to prove Swoops wrong, and she's doing it perfectly. And if Swoops' criticism wasn't enough, let's talk about Angel Reese. Her attitude towards Clark is just pure pettiness. Remember when she took a cheap shot at Clark's head and mocked her, then didn't even show any remorse?
I was waiting.
How long were you sitting?
I tell you, I was waiting. Me?
At what point were you waiting to pull out this?
Man,
Kind of the Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark is a hell of a
Incredible.
player for sure. But I don't take disrespect lightly. And she disrespected Alexis and my girls. South Carolina, they still my SEC girls too. But y'all not gonna disrespect them either. So I wanted to pick her pocket, but I had a moment at the end of the game, and I was in my bag. I was in my moment. Yeah.
Seriously, what was that? The move wasn't just dirty, it was desperate. Reese has been a textbook example of unsportsmanlike behavior, shoving, trash-talking, and trying to disrupt Clark's game. And remember when Chennedy Carter pushed Clark on the court and Reese clapped like it was a huge win? Very mature, Angel. Now let's talk about Carter. Her actions are all about shoves, taunts, and disrespect, as if she's on a mission to make Clark's life hard. Jealousy doesn't suit anyone, and Carter's made it her whole persona. Clark, though, doesn't even blink.
Hitting a shot, then heading over to Clark and shoulder checking her. The refs called it a common foul, but the league yesterday upgraded the call to a flagrant foul.
So, after all the trash talk from critics and the dirty fouls she's faced, what does Caitlin Clark do? She breaks Alyssa Thomas's single-season assist record on September 14th, 2024, with a total of 321 assists, leaving the previous record of 316 in the dust. And it wasn't just one impressive stat. She also scored 18 points, grabbed 8 rebounds, and made 9 assists in that same game against the Las Vegas Aces. Honestly, what can't this woman do? She's excelling in every area of the game while her critics are left regretting every bad thing they've said about her.
Caitlin Clark deserves love, not just respect, love for the fact that she spoke out and she gave a voice to who you, Eminem, and so many others.
Caitlin Clark faces off against the Phoenix Mercury and puts up 32 points with 10 assists. On August 21st, 2024, like it's no big deal. She's just out here showing everyone how it's done while the Mercury are probably questioning their fate. The whole game was a masterclass in performing under pressure. Plus, she set a new record for the most consecutive games with 30 or more points, beating Maya Moore's record. Just breaking legends' records like it's her hobby. Fast forward to September 3rd, 2024, and Clark goes off again against the Seattle Storm, scoring 28 points and making 12 assists. And that win? It wasn't just any win. It secured a playoff spot for the Sky. Caitlin carried her team to victory on her own.
Go ahead and look. Everywhere you turn, Indiana Fever is breaking records. All Cheryl Swoops did was validate all the speculation.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, Caitlin Clark hits a game-winning shot against the Las Vegas Aces on September 10th, 2024. Let me say that again, a game-winning shot. Not just a clutch play or a nice bucket, but a buzzer beater that kept the Sky's championship hopes alive. Caitlin Clark is practically writing her own Hollywood script, and it feels almost unfair to the rest of the league. If I were her opponent, I'd probably just sit back and watch the show. And we're not finished with the records yet. On September 5th, 2024, Caitlin breaks another milestone. She becomes the fastest player in WNBA history to reach 1,000 career assists in just 75 games. Sue Bird, a legend in her own right, held that record before, but Caitlin breezed past it like it was nothing.
Her resume speaks for itself. She just set the record for the most points ever scored. They didn't prop her up just because she was white. Her accolades speak for themselves. And because she's getting endorsements and people are coming to see her, we got this petty jealousness going on, and it's really unfortunate.
It's no surprise that Caitlin Clark's success is bothering some people. You saw this coming, right? Her incredible talent and fast rise are too much for some WNBA players. The jealousy is clear on the court. Some players are really upset, probably losing sleep because a 22-year-old is outshining them. But jealousy is just part of the game when someone like Clark comes along and changes everything. The hate she's getting is almost expected. From the start, Clark has faced doubts. People didn't think she would last, but every time someone tries to criticize her, she responds with another record-breaking performance. It's like her critics are giving her chances to prove them wrong. And believe me, they are wrong. Clark doesn't let the negativity affect her. The doubters and haters, she ignores them and focuses on her game. And her game speaks for itself. This season, she didn't just play well, she set new records. The milestones people thought were unreachable, she's breaking them easily. It's almost funny that the more she succeeds, the more her rivals try to drag her down. Her greatness seems to be a mirror they can't handle. For every record she sets and every amazing performance, there's someone trying to bring her down.
Because the African-American lesbian players were going overboard in their racism and sexism on Caitlin Clark. Lynn and the WNBA had to send different videos et al. To the league to get this crap to stop, and the league has, for the most part, stopped.
This shocking admission reveals the internal struggles that Caitlin Clark has faced, not just from the fans, but even from within the WNBA itself. It's hard to believe, but the racism and sexism directed at her were so rampant that the league had to step in.
It seems on some social media channels to have taken a darker turn, a more menacing turn, where race has been introduced into the conversation, where sexuality is sometimes introduced into the conversation. How do you try and stay ahead of that, try and tamp it down, or act as a league when two of your most visible players are involved, not personally, it would seem, but their fan bases are involved in saying some very uncharitable things about.
This was the turning point when the conversations around Caitlin Clark's performance started moving away from basketball and into darker territory. Race and sexuality became the focus of an escalating controversy.
One thing that's great about the league right now, we do sit at this intersection of culture and sport and fashion and music. Like, the WNBA players are really looked at now as cultural icons.
True.
And when you have that, you have a lot of attention on you. There's no more apathy. Everybody cares. It is a little that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979 when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But
while Engelbert tries to frame this as a historic rivalry moment, it's far from that. The issues surrounding Clark and her competitors aren't just about sports. It's a reflection of the larger problems in the league.
Well, I mean, might as well. Caitlin Clark, they got their ass beat last night. But, man, Charles Barkley said this a couple days ago, that the WNBA could not have effed this up more. Kathy Engelbert, who is the commissioner, is facing criticism from members of the Players Association for not condemning racism and homophobia, which was, of course, and inevitably tied back to Caitlin Clark.
Barkley lays it all out. This was a failure on multiple levels, and now Clark is at the center of it all. The league's inability to handle these tensions has left everyone watching.
You answered them in private. Awful Announcing said her response was not only lackluster. Oh, really? It lacked of any substance. Well, so what? She's right. This is months ago, you idiots at Awful Announcing. What are you talking about? Engelbert's word salad reply.
Even media outlets are calling out the league's inability to tackle these issues head on. Caitlin Clark may be a top performer, but the WNBA's handling of the controversies surrounding her is far from winning any accolades. The relationships I create here are my legacy. Caitlin Clark quite clearly announced back in Iowa just what she thought mattered the most to her. And now, as she continues to thrill the WNBA crowd with her record-breaking displays, she stands by her words. When the generational talent was drafted as the first overall pick this year, she was not the only one joining the league after shining for the Hawkeyes.